in general, a pretty direct commentary on the current sort of hipster trend with its glib, commercialized irony and dependence on expensive brands and things like that.
So, 7 Days of the Old Cuckold.
So, yeah, 7 days.
I gotta be careful with that title. I have a nasty habit of mispronouncing things.
Me too, obviously.
Well, too easy. Psychotic wretch.
The psychotic wretch who dispenses haiku from a lovely hole in his throat.
Yeah, anyone we know?
Oh goodness, probably. It's not so much specifically an individual as a sort of artistic type, or a type of person you would find in any art scene, but specifically in poetry scenes. But not really, sort of a general characterization as opposed to like, I was talking about so and so.
Oh, okay. Nice reason. And back to death of the hipsters again. Not to keep beating them to death or anything. Re-inherit the wind. That little phrase in there. Is that a sequel or?
No. Well, I'm basically saying to sort of reclaim the spirit of rebellion, or that might be too cheesy a word, but to reclaim this spirit that appeals to all of us in sort of dissident culture, and to reclaim it away from the clutches of corporate American extreme marketing and things like that. We need to devise basically new methods for that, and we need to have a new discussion in which dissonance can be a real force beyond being a packaged thing, and that's what that's in reference to.
All right. That clears that up. Okay, Mary, for your stuff. I am that I am. Let's start there. You're right in the, I refer to it as the green room, where we're in waiting to come in here originally. It is Dr. Seuss-like. And the one that we're trying to think of is Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah. Sam that I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them in a box, so forth and so on. Kind of an interesting way to go back to childhood. Is there any psychology behind that for you? Or?
No.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, I don't think so. I think that the reason I don't know that I would have actually immediately described it as Dr. Seuss like when I first wrote it, but I handed it into Nora Mitchell, who was my teacher at the time, and on the draft that she passed back to me, it said something like, it's like a cross between this is Dr. Seuss meets Gertrude Stein meets Mary. And I just thought, I don't know, it made me happy, honestly, that she said that. And I can see what she's talking about. There is definitely like a rhythm there, but no, I don't think it has anything to do with anything psychological. It's just like, it's the lyrical beat. I mean, it's like a lot of what I write, the way that I begin writing is not by sitting down and deciding I'm going to write about this concept. It's that my head and voice get into a rhythm, and that the concept comes through the rhythm, not the other way around. So, and that's especially true of the poems, most of the ones I read today that are like really heavily rhythmic. That's how the concept happens. It's the other way around, and so it's just like the rhythm that I get into, and sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. That one is, sort of like Sam I Am, I think.
but in this case, we like the green eggs and ham. Sorry.
Okay.
No, the way that in which it was read, when I was reading it, it seemed like something a bit faster than what it was. But for some reason, I like it better when you read it than when I read it.
I've read it different ways at different times. I've tried out different things. One of the ways in which I've been trying to change the way I read lately is to slow down a little bit and to take little rests here and there. My innate whatever is to read fast and not break and kind of go, literally let myself run out of breath as I'm reading, and that it gets its momentum that way. And there is an effect that has, and I have always done it that way, and now I'm sort of trying to like actually slow down and take some stops and kind of like let space happen between the lines when thought might settle down about what I've just said.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Now let's see here. Apathetic limbo. Let's go to that. This has sort of a religious theme to it of sorts, albeit a little different religious theme as did American Babel. Now, have you seen the Kevin Smith film Dogma?
Yes.
Okay. I don't suppose you'd cite that as a source for your...
Not even remotely.
Okay, because when you got to some of the points, it was like, that sounds like something that Kevin Smith might suggest for something.
There is not actually a religious theme. There is, it sounds like there is, when you think about the language that I'm using, but it's actually the opposite. What it is talking about is commercialized morals, commercialized humans, and therefore commercialized Jesus, which is probably sort of what you're referring to, the buddy Jesus, but it's not. I mean, it's talking about, it's also using the idea of like God becoming the media, like that the media is this overseeing way that we define our morals and our values, and specifically that poem is talking about women and like the sexualization of women, and the fact that that's like completely acceptable in the media and the way that we perceive women. It's very, very, very okay to objectify even little girls, and that the language and ways that that is spoken to in, you know, the newspaper, the news, whatever, takes away from these things as being real and true and human, and makes them just one more thing to sell. If it bleeds, it leads, so to say, speak.
Okay. Yeah, I guess as like you and I had talked about before, however briefly at points, I don't agree with that whole thing of objectifying women. So it just kind of like hit that note with me of, yeah, there is that, but also that Buddy Christ thing, commercializing everything, right down to religion.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I guess I really like that one. Or those two, I should say. But again, out of everything that I've said before, out of everything that you do, I can't really pick one over the other of anything. Now, Mag, just toss the ball back in your direction for a second.
Okay.
As the father of 2 kids, one boy, one young lady, or soon to be young lady.
Right. Yeah. She's 3. She's not quite a young lady yet. So she's a princess.
Oh, it's that stage, is it?
Right. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Okay. Well, as the father of said princess, and said young man. I think that's the right terminology for any boy, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to step on your...
Hey, no worries, no.
Okay. But in the, as being a father of that group, how do you feel about that thing about
The
objectifying women?
It's
Because I know we talked briefly about the kids aspect.
it's difficult because you know it's going to happen, and there's the beauty specifics as taught through mainstream media and through toys and things like that are ultimately fairly unhealthy for women, and I hope that Lillian, you know, knows that beauty is something internal. But I think that, you know, you can have a lot of sway in how your children feel about things. I think ultimately one of the things that concerns me even more for both of my children is the sort of the nomenclature of Americanized Christianity, in which the Christ figure is a white man, and you know, the sort of the homogeneous view of the world that our media tends to take, and I think that encourages young boys and young men like my son to look at women and each other in objectified ways, and I think it encourages women to expect from themselves something objectified and specific, and hopefully, you know, and it's one of those things that everybody develops differently. Hopefully they'll develop their own comfort level with all of that and keep me a part of it, you know.
You know, as a parent, I'd imagine you want to try to keep in touch with your kids throughout. And
oh, word, yeah, totally, definitely.
Anything you'd like to add to this, or as like a? I know you've
My
sat
opinion
first
of Mack's
kids
parenting. Sorry. I was just kidding.
Well, if you want, I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
No, I was thinking while he was speaking that he was in some ways like saying what I was trying to say when I was talking about apathetic limbo, and I was also just thinking about his poetry and my poetry and like the concepts. And one of the problems in trying to explain a poem is that that's why it's a poem. You can't explain it. There are so many ideas. Like, there is not a set narrative. I can't say to you the message of this poem is this thing. It's like there are associations and ideas and concepts and visual aspects and sensory things that are, you know, intuitive, and that's what makes poetry separate from prose, is being able to allow for that abstraction to exist and to not know, like a puzzle that you don't always have to solve, sort of. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to add that more about like the conversation about poetry and what the poems are about, and like the different wordings and associations. That's like, I think that's what it is. It's not knowing always, and it's different, hopefully, in how each reader is like affected, like their associations. It opens up something that is not allowed for in the structure of prose sometimes.
We have so much more that we could potentially go with, but being as it is, we'll have to have you guys back.
Great.
So would you be willing to come back, Mac?
Sure, yeah.
Mary?
And
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And this is Nate Taves signing off again for Burlington College Presents. See you in the next reel.